I really want to do a cleaning video. All my cars are spotlessly clean though. Oh well, maybe one thing for it. Show of hands. Who here has a car, a crawler, a buggy, a truggy, an earth mover or otherwise that makes a horrible creaking, crunching, grinding or gross sound when they use it? Okay, so a few of you. Well, we're going to try and sort that problem out before it finds its way to the bottom of your wallet. Of course, we're talking about cleaning and preventative maintenance. G'day, my name's Bill. Welcome to Crazy Grandad. Okie dokie campers, now that I've got these cars sufficiently dirty, we can see about making a cleaning video. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this stuff individually, otherwise we'd be here all day, but around me are a lot of things that you can either buy or that you may have laying around at home that you can use that will get the job done. This is not going to be one of these finger waggling, do this, don't do that cleaning videos. This is simply tips and tricks that you can use that might save you a bit of coin and make life a little bit easier for you. So a couple of front runners for me all the time when I'm cleaning, and yes, these are shop bought products, but they don't cost a lot of money. One is your WD-40. This is, it's got a million uses. You would use, a lot of you have probably got something like this rolling around in your toolbox as it is, all right? It can be used as a lubricant. The WD is actually stands for water displacer, all right? So this is actually designed for getting rid of water, okay? So that's one. Another one that I like is silicone spray. I use the motor spray stuff, it's pretty good. This is quite good for use after you've cleaned your car, but we'll get to that afterwards. And then the other main thing of all things is just soapy water. All this is just an old, spray bottle from cleaning product, whatever. And in there is just water with a little bit of dish soap in it. All right. That will absolutely go miles for you. That does all the heavy lifting. So what we'll do is I'm going to go through and clean each one of these cars, and we'll use a bit of different kit on each one, all right? But what we're going to try and do is keep things minimalistic, you know? So you don't need to go out and spend big bucks. You don't need flashy things like pressure cleaners. You don't need things like air compressors. You don't need things like the Series 4 Cleanomatic 5000. Okay, you can get the job done with, for the most part, simple household items. So let's begin. As we go through this video, even though I'm going to be cleaning all three of these models, in the interest of time, I'm going to be focusing your attention mainly to this one, my Remo Hobby Evo R, aka Frankenstein, aka Frank. The first thing's going to be we get the bodies off, and also we're going to take the wheels off. This will just make life a lot easier. Now, two of these are going to be pretty much cut and dry, but this old girl here, she's a custom build, so she kind of commands her own rules. So this one's going to be a little bit of a different story. Now, what I like to do when I take the bodies off, obviously I've done this beforehand. If I'm cleaning a car or cars like this, especially given that I'm outside and I'm standing on my back lawn doing this, I prefer to take all my body pins and then all the wheel nuts off, put them in a box that can shut and won't open easily. So body pins are in there. I suppose next thing is, let's get the wheels off. All right, that's them off. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get the wheels and the bodies out of the way, and then we're going to give all of these chassis spray over with some soapy water, and then they can sit there and soak while we clean everything else. So let's get that done now. We'll get these out of the road. The bodies obviously don't take very long to clean at all. The wheels can be a different story. Some people are happy enough to throw their wheels in a sink of water to wash them. I prefer not to submerge mine, generally because all of my tyres have got a hole in them somewhere, and if they get water inside the tyre into the foam, obviously that will start to get manky and mouldy and horrible and gross. So, now, all I'm going to do here is all three of these are just going to get a little bit of soapy water. This is literally, there's like about a drop of dish soap in here, and the rest is all just water. So nothing major. I'm going to try and stay away from the electronics. This ESC is not too bad. You hear people say waterproof. No ESC is completely waterproof. There just ain't no such animal. But they can handle getting a little bit of moisture on them. So you want to try and get all of your surfaces. Get the underside. Now the interesting thing about using just dish soap or detergent or whatever is that it's so simple how it works. For the most part, dishwashing liquid is a surfactant, so it is obviously designed to cut through grease and grime and oil and stuff like that. But most detergents, most household detergents these days also have a wetting agent in them as well. Now what a wetting agent is basically it reduces the surface tension of the water and effectively makes water wetter. That's how I had it described to me once. It makes water wetter. But that's good because then it can get into all the little nooks and crannies where you need it to get to take care of all of that grime. Okay, let's get these bodies done real quick. Sometimes if they're not too bad, I'll just give them a quick spray and a wipe off. But today, since we're doing wheels as well, I've got a tub of water here, about 15 litres of water. You don't need a lot of detergent. Too much detergent, all you're doing is making foam, and you don't need that. So I got literally about a teaspoon of just dish soap, same as what we're in the spray bottle. Not much. That's all you need. More than enough to get the job done. And just an old sponge. Give them a quick wash off. Nothing major. Sometimes if you've got a car that's got a really nice body on it, you might want to use a bit nicer sponge on it, much the same as you would sort of with your real car. If you want to look after the paint, please excuse the cat. I have a feline production crew around me who just have to be in the thick of everything, as cats always do. Plus, she will inspect my work. Yeah, Frankenstein body clean. Now this has got paint on the inside of the body, but it's also got stickers on the outside, so I don't go too nuts with this body. Just let the soap do the work. And then you don't wind up finding dislodged stickers in the bottom of your tub after you're finished cleaning. It's pretty funny actually, the last time I touched this body up, and I think I've mentioned this in the past, because I'm an idiot and I used enamel paint on the inside of this, it chips off quite regularly. And the last time I touched up the body, it had gotten dark outside, and I went out to my paint cupboard to go grab a can of paint, thinking I was grabbing dark blue, and what I actually grabbed was purple. But the effect is, I don't know, it's grown on me. I like it. It was, I don't know, maybe a good fuck up. Who knows? Rightio, before we get stuck into cleaning any wheels, I just want to touch on brushes. All of these brushes I've got here are all old brushes. So I haven't been out and specifically, well, I've bought a couple of them, but they've been cheapies. So I've got the sponge. I always keep an old banister brush, old dustpan brush floating around, always handy just for any dry stuff. You just get it off real quick. And also when you're, say if you've been out bashing in the dust and your car's just full of dust, often find a couple of old paint brushes just to get in there. And like what I have one basically just for going all over the car in general. And then I have what I call my stabby brush, and this is the brush that you can see how sort of fluffed up it is on the end, and this I use for stabbing into places. Yeah, that's, you know, just an old one out of the shed type thing. When it comes to washing, like for rims and that, I always find things like a bottle brush is really handy, especially for wheels, so we'll be using that in a minute. I've got a couple others here that I use for just about everything. And these were like part of a set from the supermarket. I think I change out of $5. There was this one, and another one. But yeah, they're just good for just general scrubbing, tire treads, stuff like that. Brilliant, awesome. And last but certainly not least, is your toothbrush. Toothbrushes are your friend when cleaning RC vehicles. But there's one thing you have to remember, is don't use your own toothbrush. That's gross and it's unhygienic. Use your partner's instead. All right, let's get some wheels cleaned. So like I said before, I'm not going to sink these in water. I'm just going to give them a good scrub. They are all filthy, especially these ones, the Pro lines. But the Pro lines are the ones I least want to get water in. So we're going to be a little bit careful doing that. These are going to be my weapons of choice today. I've sort of rejuvenated the end on the bottle brush, so that can do its job a little bit better. I'm going to start on the least dirtiest rims first and then move through to the nastiest ones, just so that we don't muddy the waters too much, so to speak. Right, Proline time. These are disgusting. These are disgusting. You can't even see the tie treads. I love these tyres to bits. They grip really well on dirt. In mud, they're hopeless. Alright, so these Prolines actually have 2 holes moulded into them, and obviously they're foamed as well. So there's one hole there and another hole there. So as I'm washing, you may have noticed I just put my thumb over each hole. It just, you know, minimalises the likelihood of crap getting in there, which no one wants. Clean as a whistle. Alright, that's our wheels done. Now for the hard part. Now I say hard part, this is only as hard as you want to make it. If you just want to give your model a light clean, that's entirely up to you. As I said, there's no do's and don'ts with this. I'm just going to go through what I would normally do. So this is the little black zone. It's had a bit of a soak. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to just give it another quick, because these have actually dried in the sun a little bit. So I'm just going to give it another quick hit with some more soap. Nothing much. Alright, now this little fella here is sort of different to most of my other models in that it doesn't have a modular radio ESC or so on and so forth. This is one of your models that's actually got like a circuit board inside that kind of does the whole schmozzle. So we just have to be a little bit careful. The motor and gearbox is in the back of it. The circuit board and steering servo is in the front. So we just don't want to flood it with water. All right. So the first thing I'll do, I'll get the battery cover off. Obviously that can have a proper wash. Now just to my side here, I've just got a ice cream container just with some soapy water in. Again, not much soap. Doesn't need a lot. Give that a quick once over. 2 seconds. That's done. That can dry. Now we've actually got some mud and whatnot actually in the battery tray. So this is where toothbrush comes into play. I'm not taking a lot of water in there, just enough to get done what I need done. Now what I'm going to do with all of these after I've cleaned them is I'm actually going to actively dry them. But I'm going to show you a couple of neat tricks. I have a compressor that I could use. It's compressed air. Get it dry, no problem. But I'm not going to use that today. We're going to use some other stuff. Now, stuff that sort of you might have at home, you might not, or you might have something that does a similar thing. So get that part out of the way. Very, very quick rinse. Nice fine spray of water. All right. In there, just get that out. All right, that's looking a bit better. And then we can just get around the suspension and whatnot. I don't go too bananas. Your main reason for wanting to keep your stuff clean is, well, I mean, A, you might want it just to look nice, which I'm a bit of a fan of. I sort of take a bit of pride in what my RC stuff looks like. But the other is, you know, these things have got loads of little mechanical moving parts, and unlike real cars, they don't have dust boots and stuff, or not all of them. A lot of the stuff is quite bare and laid wide open, so you've really got to kind of, it does pay to look after it and keep it clean. I've only got CV shafts to worry about on one end of this because she's two-wheel drive. Alright, so that's primarily it for that one. This one doesn't actually have a lot going on. It's not a very complicated chassis. Alright, we give it a quick rinse off underneath, very fine spray of water, back end, front end. And you can kind of use this if you want. You can undo the nozzle a bit if you're daring and get more of a squirt. That's why I say miniature pressure cleaner, because you can really use it to get in the corners and blast some of the stuff out. Alright, so I'm going to call that primarily clean. Now what I'm going to do is, I've got a little dryer here that I made. If any of you caught my last video, a real short video that I did, making this, really simple. Basically same principle as like those things you buy to blow up camp beds with and stuff like that. 540 motor, little bit of an impeller inside. There is literally nothing special about it. I'm going to stick 12 volts through it, but this gives quite a decent puff of air. Get in around the electronics first, make sure that's all dry. That's our priority. There we go. Tiny, but noisy. Strange, there's not a single cat in the backyard. I can't imagine why. Alright, so that's essentially dry. We've got all the water out of the corners where it tends to collect. And as for the rest of it, you just sort of go and give it a quick wipe over. So other things we're going to be using today, I actually have a couple of devices. I won't use one of them, but I also have here at my disposal a pet dryer. They've basically got a vacuum cleaner motor inside of them, just works the other way. And I also have, believe it or not, it's a air blower for a spray tan gun. A friend of mine used to have a spray tan business, and they use this sort of setup that's got like it's kind of like a vacuum cleaner, but not. But the good thing about it is you can apply a little bit of heat to the air, so you can warm the air up, which is good. But yeah, she gifted it to me because the gun was clogged up. Asked if I could do anything with the rest of it, and I said yes, thank you, and it works a treat. Alright, that one's clean. Now, what I'm going to do now is the same as what I do with all my models when I've cleaned them, and it's also going to happen to the rims and the bodies as well. And that is, this is where the silicone spray and the good old WD comes into play. No matter how much air you throw at this, no matter how much you wipe it, no matter how much you hang it out to dry, there is going to be water in there somewhere. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I shouldn't have put that back on, is we're going to go in with a little bit of WD-40. All right, don't need a lot, not much, don't need to drown it. but just a couple of bits here and there inside, and that will sort of almost work its way through everywhere, and it'll get into all the corners and it will displace the water. It will displace any moisture. Anyone who has a boat will have a can of this laying around. Runs an outboard motor. Most people that have motorbikes and stuff like that get wet. So now what we do is, now we've got that on there, we're just going to let that all just sit. Just let the WD do its thing. And we're going to hit them with a bit of silicone spray. Now the miracle behind this is, and I'll use Frankenstein as an example. If you use a bit of this when you're cleaning the car, it will leave a film of silicone on whatever you spray it onto. It's a little bit slippery. You can wipe it off, but there'll still effectively be a thin film of it on there. So what I generally tend to do, don't need a lot, body inside and out. All right. And what you'll actually get out of that, right, wipe the excess off with a dry cloth. Make sure it's dry, not damp, otherwise it won't work. What I will actually find next time I take this out is you'll find the water and the mud and whatnot should pretty much just bead straight off because it can't stick to the silicone. Sometimes you'll see at some of the, I was actually watching a Tom Lee RC video the other day of one of the crawler meets that they had. And I did notice that one of the cars there, they had a bit of a mud run, and everyone else's cars were coming out absolutely caked in mud. And then this one guy went through with a 10th scale crawler, and it came out and everything just went and melted off of it. And I guarantee you he had some silicone spray on it, because everyone was saying, what have you got on that body? So, and also not only that, it just gives it a nice shine. It just makes it look nicer. Gives it a bit of a, if you've got a few scratches on there, like light scratches, it kind of almost makes them go away. It's really, really good stuff. I rate it. I prefer the Motor Spray brand. There's loads of different brands out there. Whatever works for you. All right, little one's done. That one's soaking with a bit of WD. Next up is a Frankenstein. All right, Frankenstein, aka Evo R. Get this one done. This one's pretty bad. This is probably the dirtiest out of the three of them. I'm going to kick off just by removing the battery straps, and they are going in the water. They can soak. If you can get anything to wash itself while you're doing other things, go for it. I was going to take the wing off of this, but it's a bit of a mixture of kind of couldn't be bothered but mainly forgot. So anyway, that doesn't matter. We'll get around it. Now, before I get cracking on this, I just want to talk a little bit about waterproof components. Now, you heard me say before, there's no such thing as a waterproof ESC or radio receiver. And I believe that's true. And even if there is one out, like if there's ones out there that are absolutely waterproof, if you assume that they're not, you can't go wrong. So I generally tend to err on the side of caution. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to yank the RX out, little Fly Sky RX, and that is going to get the teeniest, tiniest little, barely any water on the brush. Right. Quick wipe off. And we get him out the way. Now my ESC I'm going to leave in, but I'm going to kind of work around it. So with models like this one's not so bad, but as I said, assumption is not a good thing. Most models that are built around a flat plate chassis or even a tub chassis, your diffs and stuff like that are all fastened down to it. I've got an example here. This is a spare diff out of Big Red. Now you can see the diff housing, you know, it's a normal everyday diff housing. However, underneath we can see there's the diff center looking straight back at you. So that would mount straight onto the chassis plate. So this is why I steer away from using things like pressure cleaners and that, because you risk literally pushing water in under there, in with those nice steel gears. Doesn't do it any good. So I try to avoid it if I can. I have actually seen a few people with stuff like this that have made little gaskets and bits and pieces like that, similar as you would have for your diff center gaskets on rock crawlers, so they submerge better. But this one does not, so I just try and stay away from it. You know, just pointing water directly at the diff centers. This one, on the other hand, is not so bad. These diff centers are reasonably well enclosed, but I don't take advantage of that fact at all. The ESC, this is allegedly a waterproof ESC, as is this. This is allegedly a waterproof ESC. This is an old one. The way I look at it generally, this one has been completely resin potted, so it's, you know, it's all sealed in out of the factory. But thermal expansion, you know, these things get hot, cold, hot, cold. I just can't see how they can keep water out. Plus you've got your nice little fan there. Once they get a bit of water in, you know, I would say it would be only a matter of time before show's over. So, you know, when they say waterproof, I think what they're talking about is they are that kind of waterproof, not that kind of waterproof. So I don't know. I just try and avoid doing that. So let's get stuck into this one. Again, this one's pretty much all my previous load of soap has all evaporated off in this unseasonal. That better not be going in my coffee. I'm moving the coffee. Move the coffee, Bill. Yeah, unseasonable sunshine. It's winter time at the moment. Now, unlike ESCs, you can have servos that are, you know, claimed to be waterproof, and that's a lot of the time that's entirely possible. I've got a few really nice servos that have actually got like a nice little O-ring around the shaft and what have you. More made for, you know, model boats, that kind of thing, but they can be handy in this kind of application. I'm going to start with the bottom of this first, all right? And I generally, if I can, I like to hold the car up vertical so that obviously everything you are scrubbing off doesn't just go straight through to where you're about to go afterwards. I'm not going to go bananas. So now you can see I'm not being too meticulous here. Like, you can get as carried away as you want, but it all depends on what you want back out of the car. Any machine, whether it's a remote control car, your real car, a Freightliner, a 6,200 ton drilling rig, it doesn't matter what it is. Any machine will only give back to you what you give it. If you look after it, it will look after you. So I tend to try and keep my stuff clean so that it lasts. Now this particular motor on this thing, this end is all more or less kind of sealed in, as you can see. But these motors, as is the case with a lot of in-runners, they have a hole in the middle on the back of the can, which exposes the shaft and the bearing. So what I usually do, I just put a little circle of like duct tape or whatever just on the end of the motor. Just keeps the crap out. Little things like that make your life a lot easier and make your stuff last longer. Battery tray, you get in all the little cornery bits. You'll notice I'm not worrying too much about getting the plugs wet. They will get dried out. Most of the brands of electronics, you know, PWM wires and so forth, have got nickel plated pins, so rust is not generally a problem. Some chassis are awesome to clean because they're just so open and everything's just easy to get at and whatever, and then there are others a bit like this that can be a little bit finicky, but it's not the end of the world. Alright, I think we're just about done here. Alright, cool. Bit of water, set to fine spray, about like that. Hang her up. Bit of a careful dodge around the electronics. Super. Grab her by the back end. Done. Alright, any bits and pieces that are left behind after that I can get rid of with the dryer. Okay, so beside me I have the trusty classic tan blower unit, whatever you want to call it, for spraying spray-on tans on. We have, as you may have already guessed, a number of cats here. And we have found that this particular machine is actually quite good for when the cats have a bath, giving them a dry. You can select your speed, and you can also apply a little bit of heat so you can get warm air out of it. Not hot air, just warm. So we're going to be using this. Obviously I have got all water-based bits and pieces, jugs of water, sponges, ice cream containers out of the way because this is a 240 volt appliance. And the other thing I have done is just to wipe down my work surface and just get some of the dirt and mud out of the way. And then at least that way when you are using something like this, you're not just blowing it all over what you've already cleaned or whatever. Alright, so I'm going to get stuck into this. This won't take very long. Probably medium speed, and I'm not going to worry about any heat. Let's go high. Let's send it. Start at the top and work down. Remember to stick that dryer or blower or whatever you've got right into all the little corners and let the air do its work. Time. That is dry enough that all your water is pretty much gone. You might still have a few little bits of moisture just in the corners, but again, just like the little one, this is where we go in with the WD. Just a little bit here and there, not much. And you can, if you want, once this is sat for a bit, you can either just leave it Some people use this as a lubricant. I prefer not to. Any steel parts, give them a bit of a going over, even the electronics. Not much, just a little bit. I don't know what it is. Some people have a tendency to drown things in this stuff. There's just no need for it. All right, so I'm going to let that sit for a couple of minutes, and then I'm actually going to hit that with the blower again, just to get rid of any excess WD, and then that will be sorted, not a problem. But I'm going to call that clean. This is what I call a mechanical clean. So a mechanical clean, obviously, is just as it sounds, it is a clean that allows the car to function next time you use it. So we're more interested in getting out things that can destroy CVs and ball joints and that kind of carry on gear drives and whatnot. Or you can go for a glamour clean, which is, you know, if you've got a bit of a shelf queen or whatever and you've taken it out and you've got it a bit dirtier than you thought you wanted to. But then you sort of, you know, you can get as carried away as you want. Every now and again, sometimes with one of my cars, you know, sit down, put on a good movie and tear the whole car down, clean every bit individually, give it the full detail. That's not really what we're doing today. Today's what we're doing is get it clean so that it works the next time you want to use it. Get the little straw involved for those hard to reach places. And stick a bit just in there, not heaps. And then I'm just going to cycle the motor over a little bit just to... Okay. This gear drive does still sound a little bit gritty, but this is where, again, bit of the old WD. Spin it over a little bit. Alright, that's actually, I'm quite happy with that. So I will go through afterwards and do what I would call a standard lube. So I'll go through, oil my CVs. I've usually got a bit of special grease, Tamiya grease that I put in here, the good sticky stuff. Yeah, this is... it's got its whole own lubrication regime. One thing I am going to do, and I don't know whether you've done with the other two, is just a quick dust over with silicone spray. And that will give you that nice protective film. Which will, the hope is, stop stuff sticking to it next time you're out and about. Done. Now I did say I was going to show you something with the hardware and body pins and so forth. Because they get just as dirty as everything else does. They've got nice tiny little fine threads on them which you don't want to mess up. So here's what I do. I use this little box here. This box, one, it clips shut, so if you drop it, it won't just come open. The other thing this box has, for whatever reason, is it has 4 little holes in the bottom. But you can use a little tub or whatever with a lid that goes on it and just drill a hole in one corner, all right? And basically what I do is this. And normally I would do this before starting on everything else. This would be the first job number 1. Go in there with a bit of soapy water. Just a little bit, doesn't matter how much really, just enough to wet everything, all right? And then give it a shake. All right, it is at that point I would then let that water drain out of there. Or you can even give them a rinse if you want. Just to get the soap suds out. Alright, I'm going to be a bit cheeky here and do this. just because we don't have all day. Normally I would do this and like to just let it sit for an hour or so, just to let it drain right out and dry right out. And then once you are back to a point where you can see everything, but it's just wet, okay, then what I'll do is just dab in there with a cloth, just more or less to more dry the bottom of the tub out than anything, and just move everything around a bit. So you're kind of almost like half drying it, but you're more trying to just get the inside of the tub itself dry. That makes sense. And then I will give everything a quick dose of trusty old WD. And again, bit of cha-cha-cha. And then they can just sit there to one side while you're doing the rest of your cleaning, and they'll dry out quite happily on their own. If you want to take them out, put them on a cloth, you can. I leave them in the box because then I know that they're not going anywhere, they're not going to fly out or get lost or whatever. And you can almost guarantee that if it's a nice day like it is today, by the time you're ready to get them out, they're dry. They've just got a thin film of this on them. And then again, if you want to give them a quick dose of silicone or something like that, you absolutely can. But I found that to be the easiest way to get wheel hardware and hub hardware and body pins and so forth clean. So there we have it, people. 3 clean cars. So what I've done is put them all back together. I've just hooked them all up to a battery, just make sure that everything's working. Much to my surprise, this CSC, it's doing okay. It doesn't seem to want to let the smoke out just yet. Works for me, that's fine. So yeah, they're all working okay and whatever. So once you've got them nice and clean like this, then you can go for your glamour shots or do whatever you're doing. I also gave them a quick lube here and there, mainly because they've all had an actual wet wash, like an actual water wash. So I've gone around all the CV shafts, ball joints, that kind of thing. Obviously I haven't gone into diff housings or anything like that, but I have just gone around them. So the stuff I use for that kind of thing on all of my models is this stuff is a CRC TAC 2. All right, doesn't cost very much. It's an adhesive lubricant, good for things like motorbike chains, bearings. It's really sticky. It's good stuff. So yeah, and I did actually used to use that in the gearbox of this one. It tended to attract more grot than it did lubricate. So to that end, that's why I just put a little bit of Tamiya grease in there. So yeah, these have come up really well. I just want to point out that everything I've done in this video it's purely a guideline. It's just to give you ideas of what you can do, to help keep your stuff clean. As I said, there's no rules here, and to that end, what you can do is what you can do. So yeah, I hope you've been able to take something away from this or learn something. That's what we're here to do. So thank you very much for watching. Please hit us with a like and subscribe. Only takes a couple of seconds, but it means the world to me. Okay, well, that just about wraps everything up. I'll see you next time. Happy now?